your peace, in your loving grace, I release with my faith and my belief. Heal me, heal me, heal me, heal me. All that I am, all that I hope I will be, all I become, all that lives within me, all there is, all there will ever be, all the love, all the love, all the love, all the love. On tare, to Risvaha. On tare, to Risvaha. On tare, to Risvaha. On tare, with your strength, with your peace, in your loving grace, I release with my faith and my belief. Heal me, heal me, heal me, heal me. Om tare, to Risvaha. 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 Om tare,
That was a chant to the Tibetan Buddhist goddess Green Tara. And if you go in our prayer room over here, there's a wall hanging that I got when I went to visit the Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Bloomington, Indiana, believe it or not. They have a room there for the Dalai Lama, an apartment, whenever he wants to come visit them, which I don't think is very often. I'm sure the Dalai Lama didn't get up this morning and go, I wonder what the folks in Bloomington are doing over there. Let me go see. But yeah, Green Tara is kind of, there's 4 different Tara goddesses, red, yellow, white, and green, and they all have different aspects, but the Green Tara is kind of all of them put together. And the chant that we use, Om Tare Ture, Tu Tare Ture Swaha, is just an honoring chant. Hail Mary, full of grace, same thing, right? It's just an honoring of the feminine, divine feminine principle. God's grace. Grace, grace, grace. What a word. What a word. If you look it up in the dictionary, you might see definitions like elegant, beautiful. You know, if you say that someone is graceful, like Reverend Judith is a dancer. She's graceful. She flows when she walks. You know, can we think about God's grace in that way as something beautiful and elegant and yet powerful and flowing? It's the Holy Spirit. It was so interesting that we're doing this chant today, and then Judy shows up this morning and she's wearing this Oriental woman looking like a goddess on her dress. She said, I haven't pulled this out in 30 years. This is how we roll down here. Synchronicity. You know, we're all of one heart, one mind, one intention. The word this year is simplicity. That's our word, back to basics. And I can't think of anything more basic than to talk about the grace of God. One of my teachers, Dr. Paul Hasselbeck, used to tell us when I was in ministerial school that God's grace is like the joker in the deck. It's like the wild card. It just shows up. You know, I bet if I ask everybody in here what their definition of grace was, you would, instead of telling me what grace was, you would probably share a story, or you would get around to, this is something that happened where I felt the grace of God. I knew God's presence. And so God, you know, we will say here that God is not an entity that has the quality of grace, but God is grace. God is that grace. And then if that's true, we know that God is everywhere present all the time, then God's grace is everywhere present all the time. There was an Eastern teacher named Swami Vivekananda. Does anybody ever heard of him before? He came over to America in the early 1900s, about the same time that Yogananda did. And about a little bit after Charles of Myrtle Fillmore began forming the Unity movement. There was a lot going on at the turn of the century then, between the late 1800s and the early 1900s, as far as spirituality. And there was all kind of stuff going on. I mean, people were doing seances. You know, you had the Fox sisters and all the knocking and the table tipping stuff. I think they were knocking on my door last night. I kept waking up thinking I heard someone knocking on the door. And then I keep seeing a woodpecker in my backyard. It's like, hello, I'm here. Don't forget about me. Don't get so busy in your life that you forget the purpose, the intention while you're here to express me, to be me in the world, to be God's grace in the world. Grace. So Swami Vivekananda said this about grace. I love this quote. God's grace is always blowing, but you have to raise your sail. Right? Yeah, God's grace is always blowing, but we have to raise the sail. You know, God is gracious. God is courteous. I know there's the thing we talk about sometimes of getting the cosmic 2x4 upside the head, but usually when that has happened in my life, I was the one holding the 2x4. I think God is gentle. Like, I like to think about, there's been so many times in my life where I've been out in the woods and I've been upset. When I get upset, I like to go outside, just sit by the water usually. And I'll be talking to God in my head or out loud, and then suddenly I feel a breeze just kind of gently touching me. And just a little reminder, I'm still here. I didn't go anywhere. You might have moved, but I didn't move. I'm still here. And I'm moving now. I'm the Holy Spirit energy that's moving and touching you and reminding you that I'm here, but not in like a forceful way. I don't think God forces itself on us. You know, we allow God. That's the whole thing about free will, right? I don't think we're made to do anything. We might be strongly suggested to do something, but God isn't going to make us do anything. God is gracious. God is courteous. God allows us to use it as we allow it to use us, right? Because we know these spiritual laws that we teach and practice and use here, that we get to shape and form the one invisible substance with our thoughts and our feelings. Like whatever we focus on, whatever we imagine all the time, and we charge it with emotion, is the experience that we get to have of the world. And that's God's grace allowing us to do that. But every now and then, the joker pops up, the wild card pops up. Don't forget the woodpecker. I'm still here. Thomas Merton was a monk. I think he's still alive, and a mystic, Christian mystic. And he says, grace is not a strange magic substance which is subtly filtered into our souls to act as a kind of spiritual penicillin. Grace is unity, oneness within ourselves and oneness with God, which is what we focus on when we come here every Sunday and during the week, during our classes, all the things that we have going on down here. It's all focused on love and oneness. That's what we say every Sunday. We connect through the energy of joy and oneness, and this is how we experience God's grace. It's like we have to get everything out of the way, all of the roadblocks that we put between us and God's grace. I don't think God tests me. I think I test myself. I think I'm the one that puts the roadblocks in the way. You know, I get gentle nudges. Maybe you should come over here. Maybe you should release that. Maybe you should stop doing this. How about if you tried this instead? But it's just a subtle, and when I'm living full out and thinking that every experience in life has to be like a roller coaster, then I'm missing the subtlety. God is subtle. I don't know. I used to be drunk all the time for about 15 years, and I couldn't hear God at all. I heard myself real loud in my head, and I had numbed myself out so much that every experience had to be like full on before I would feel it. Like I did so many crazy things just to feel something because I self-medicated so I wouldn't feel anything. Right? Craziness. And thank God that God's grace showed up for me very powerfully one day and just said, look, if you keep doing this, you're going to die. Like just clear as a bell. And I made the choice to try to stop, which I did stop. And I haven't had a drink in 30 years or a drug, but I had to make the choice. I had to do it. I made myself available by being around a bunch of other people that were walking a spiritual path, and I became open just long enough. Oh, finally, he's going to open up, be sober for a day, so maybe I can get in there and talk a little bit and help him get on the right path. So we have to slow down. We have to be quiet. We have to listen. God is subtle. Like, I'm not going to get a baseball bat. I'm going to get a woodpecker pecking, you know. Now, God might send 50 woodpeckers before I pay attention, right? It's subtle, and it's a gift that we don't have to earn. It's not something that we get because we deserve it or we don't deserve it. It's like God doesn't ever go away whether we pay attention to God or not. God's still there. I can be angry, throwing a fit, and God is still there. It doesn't change the fact that I'm always connected to God. The only way I can be not connected is when I say I'm not connected in my own mind, when I feel I'm not connected. But the truth is I am one with God. I am God in expression, walking around. I'm not the allness of God. I'm the eachness of God. I'm God expressing at the point of me. But I forget. I get wound up in stuff. But it doesn't matter if I'm wound up or not. The grace doesn't ever go away. God doesn't ever go away. So it's a gift. It's fully available to us all the time. But it's up to us to open up to receive the gift. So this is from Richard and Mary Alice Jaffola, who wrote The Quest. Some of y'all might have done The Quest before. The gift is yours from God simply because you're God's child. Now today we'd say simply because you are an expression of God. You didn't have to earn it, and you don't have to prove that you deserve it. It is yours unconditionally. It comes with being a part of creation. It comes with being a part of creation. You deserve God's grace because you are. Because you exist. No matter what anybody else tells you. And people will tell you things to the contrary. We like to find little ways to make people the other. And that all comes out of fear. And what we've been learning in class is, well, you spot it, you got it. What you see in the other person is really what needs healing in you, or what you see in the other person is really wants to be expressed as you. So we're just, as Marianne Williamson says, we're more afraid of our light than we are of our darkness. Wow, what would it be like if I lived full out all the time? And I don't mean craziness, roller coaster full out, but the full joyous expression of what I am. That might be kind of scary. I might have to be bold. I might have to be uncomfortable. I might have to step out a little bit. I might have to try something new. I might have to have a new thought. But any of that doesn't matter in relation to God's grace. It doesn't change. Nothing I do is ever going to change that. What's changing is whether I'm experiencing it or not, whether I'm allowing it into my life, whether I'm allowing it to flow through me, whether I'm allowing it to be the point of my life. Because God's grace is experienced through each other. You know, sometimes I need the hands and the feet and the lips and the arms of God in my life. Sometimes it's not just enough to know that I know that I'm one with you and God and all creation, but every now and then I need a hug from God, and that's you. This is a wonderful story from this Australian poet. His name was Victor Daly. And as he was dying, he was being cared for in a Catholic hospital. And one of the last things that he did was to thank the nurses for taking such good care of him, for all of their kindness. And the nurses said, "Oh, don't thank us. Thank the grace of God." And he said, "But aren't you the grace of God? Aren't you the grace of God?" You know, we talked about Carlton Pearson. last Sunday, Bishop Carlton Pearson. And he had a great impact on my life. I only met him a few times, but whenever I was with him at a conference or something, I just wanted to be with him. I just wanted to get to know him, to talk with him, to be in his energy, to learn from him. Maybe some of his stuff would rub off on me, right? Because I'm thinking I don't have the same thing he does, which I know isn't true. And still, yet, he was this huge factor in my ministry. Like, I love doing this because he does that. He used to do that. Amen? So, can I get a witness? Can I get an amen around here? Somebody. Help me out. Right? So that's fun, right? He was a lot of fun. And so I always thought that I was going to get to see him again. I always thought, oh, well, we'll do another conference together, or I'll get invited to where he is, something. And then he passed away in November. He got sick again and passed away. Just like, what? Carlton's gone? What happened? Like, he's on Facebook every week doing these talks where he talks about everything, for an hour. And I would watch him sometimes. Very inspirational. I'm like, wait, no. How can he not be here anymore? It just really kind of just made me really sad. I was talking to my husband, Eric, about it. And I said, I just feel so kind of sentimental and maudlin because I'm so emotional about somebody that I really didn't even know. And he was like, yeah, but you were connected to him. He had an impact on your life. And then when I think about that, it's like, well, what kind of impact do I have on other people's lives? And I don't know it because I never told them, you have a great impact on my life. I never humble myself to say that to him. So I was in the office this week, and I was looking up something on YouTube. And, when you sign into YouTube, it likes to show you things that it thinks you would like. So, exclusive, last video from Carlton Pearson. So they've got him, propped up in the bed. He's got this neck pillow on, like you wear on the airplane. And he's all dressed up like he always was. And he's saying goodbye to everybody. So I'm looking at him, and it's like he's looking me right in the eye. Like I felt like he was talking right to me. And he said something like, well, I know some of y'all just got to know me. Some of you may have known me for a long time. And some of you will see what's happening in my life and go, oh, Carlton. He was like, don't do that. Like he looked right at me and said, don't do that. He says, because we'll be together again. I will see you again. I'll see you in heaven. I'll see you on the other side of the veil. I'll see you in what's next. I'll see you in the next iteration, whatever you want to call it, but we'll be together again. What? I just lost it. I'm glad no one came in the office and saw that. I was a mess. I just cried and cried. And I was so grateful because that was the grace of God showing up to me. That was God speaking to me in that moment. In that moment, it was just for me. It was, yeah. So that's how grace shows up for me when I'm willing to look for it. It's like God's like YouTube. It's like, here's this. What do you think about? I know you like this. Hey, look at this, right? All the time. But am I open to it? Am I looking for it? Do I believe it's available all the time? The key point is, am I worthy of it? That's what stops everybody from experiencing the fullness of God's grace, is thinking that we somehow don't deserve it. But if it's a free gift that's offered to everybody, if it's available all the time, why wouldn't you deserve it? If you're everything that God is, why wouldn't you be worthy of it? We just have to shift our thinking around it. We can even read in Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 and 9, for by grace you've been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God. It is not the result of your works. So don't boast about it. It's freely available, and that's why I like to sing this song.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. It was grace that taught my heart to sing, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Oh, and we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun. We've no less days to sing and praise than when we first begun. Sing it with me. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a soul, saved a soul